Hey guys, welcome to Naked Leaders. This is another Naked Moment with John, your host. Today I want to talk about legacy and specifically how people will remember us and the company or the ministry or church that God has given us as our life's work or assignment in this world. And I think it's just about everything on how we walk out of this life into the next and leave something behind that people will be affected positively by. Remember us in a way that really brings delight or a good feeling when they talk about you or I in light of what we did in this world. You know, it's just like Gladiator when the quote, so famously quoted all the time. I love this quote. It says, "What we do in this life echoes in eternity." And it's so true, especially as believers. Everything that we do has an echoing effect here and now and in the eternal realm. And I think a lot of times we don't stop to think about the consequences that we do on a daily basis. I mean, I know that I've had to really catch myself and say, ooh, I just said something that maybe I shouldn't have. I just thought something. I just did something. And you don't really want to sit there and beat yourself up all the time, but still, there's a healthy way of looking at it with conviction that causes us to catch ourselves, and then we move through it, work through it with the Holy Spirit, and prayerfully become more like Him through that process. So, how many of you guys heard about this new show out called The Prophet? Profit, not Prophet, but The Prophet. And there's a man named Marcus Lemonis that hosts the show. Amy and I love it because it just really showcases the heart of this individual and what it is. This guy Marcus, he's 41 years old. I know he looks a lot older on the show, doesn't he? And he's from Lebanon. He was born in this country. Actually, he was a family adopted him in Florida and brought him to America. And then the dad was actually in the auto industry and taught him a lot about business and the entrepreneurial spirit when he was young. And so he really caught on quickly, became very successful. He's now worth an estimated $150 million. But more than that, he is just a good-hearted guy. You can tell he's more interested in the individual than the investment. Although the investment is important to him, he's more into the individual and the heart of who they are. He actually acquired Good Sam, if you're familiar with that in America. It's Good Sam is like a Camping World term or a business within the camping RV industry, and he's actually the CEO of Camping World. So he's been very successful, and then he began a show on NBC called The Prophet. And here's just a couple of quotes from him that really caught my attention as it's related to how we value others. He says, "You've got to treat people with the same amount of respect and decorum. We are all the same. We just have different jobs." Another quote, "Businesses are based on relationships, and relationships are based on people." And then finally, he says, "You've got to trust your process." And you're going to hear me talk a lot about the process because I really believe that God takes us through this journey of really getting our eyes opened to what this greater picture is in our lives. It's not just about going out and doing the work, whatever that may be. You know, a lot of people focus on the Great Commissioner. They focus on doing a work. But really, we know, you and I know deep down, that God's really after the heart of the matter. Man looks on the outward, God looks on the heart. It's always about dialing things down to the heart of the matter in whatever we do. And I just love these quotes because he says, businesses are based on relationships and relationships are based on people. And I've heard him say in the show several times that, look, I'm really more concerned about you because if I can get along with you and I see that you treat people well, then I can invest in this. But if I see that you're a jerk and you don't value others, then I'm going to walk away. It doesn't matter how great the product is. It reminds me of the new show coming out soon called West Texas Investors Club. And there's these three just old guys that have been very successful in the oil industry, and some of them made some great products in relation to that, made a lot of money, been very successful. But what they say in there, and you can tell little snippets of the show, I think I'm going to really like it. They talk about, look, we think your product's great, but we just don't like you, or we just couldn't get along with you, kind of thing. And it's true. It's people are everything. And how we treat and value one another is in direct reflection as to how we see ourselves in the mirror. As how we look inwardly, and how we love and care for ourselves. And if there's a healthy, really outlook, or the healthy view of who we are in relation to Christ is the only one that can do this thing in us. Then it's going to come out of our pores towards others. It's just going to be natural. And when people look on and they say, wow, that person really cares for people. They're not just putting on a show. It's not just about trying to get ahead. They have an agenda. No, they genuinely care. And you know when somebody does. You know when a leader of any kind comes into your midst and you walk away from there feeling good about your interaction and your connection. And you look and say, you tell your friends or your family, you're like, wow, now that's somebody I could really look to as a mentor, or I could follow, or I'd love to look after them as an example. And we all want mentors in our life. Jesus is the greatest mentor of all, but it's nice to have ones in the natural as well, because we're a relational being. That's who we are. Co-founder of Whole Foods, John Mackey, calls his employees team members. He says it means you're a part of a team, you're a member of a team. That's real at Whole Foods. That's part of our culture. And of his relationship to his employees, Mackey says, I've become like a father to them. So if we take it one step further, team is one level. And in the church world, we like to use the terminology of team, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I just think God is taking us one level deeper to where it becomes a part of our DNA to use terminology like family members. And really, we've heard those terms in the church world, but there's been a real cover-up, if you will, in a lot of circles, not all. But the cover-up is, look, I'm calling you a family member or brother or sister, but I really don't mean it. And you can tell the difference, again, especially if you have any level of discernment about your life. You can tell when somebody genuinely is caring for what you have to say and who you are as an individual. And then there's the whole religious mask cover-up. And we're coming from that team environment, which is a business term, to real family reality and the family DNA of Christ in us and through us with one another, so that we can truly look to one another and say, man, I would lay down my life for you. It's not even a question, because I've come to know who you are as an individual, and I value you more than anything. And John Mackey, the CEO, the co-founder actually of Whole Foods, goes on to say, when our team members are happy and enjoying their work, they give better service to the customers. And if the customers are happy, they continue to shop at the store. They market through word of mouth, and the business flourishes. It prospers. Now, whatever you think about Whole Foods, that's irrelevant. You may like it, love it, or hate it. But the quotes and the feel of the members when you walk into a store like that is certainly part of their culture. May not be all the way through and through, but the co-founder has certainly done something to cultivate that, because it's one of the top 100 best places to work. And, that may be changing, but at least it is or was at some point. People want more than just to earn a living, said Mackey. People want meaning. They want purpose. They want to feel like their work is making a difference in the world. And I would go one step further and say they want to feel like they're valued. Not only feel, but know that they're valued. And especially in the church world. Let me ask you the question. Do you really feel valued by the leaders there? Do you feel valued by others there? Do you feel like it's a real family? And do you know it's a real family? See, these are the questions that prayerfully you're asking yourself, and then you're going to the Lord and saying, Lord, is this my tribe, my family, the people that you've called me to be with, rather than just walking in and saying, well, this seems cool, this seems all right, and yeah, I know it's got a bunch of flaws, but I'll just kind of settle down here because where else am I going to go? Look, we're talking about a spiritual life here, your spiritual existence, your spiritual well-being. And we're called to walk with people, some for a season and some for life. So who are those people right now in your life that are seasonal and ones that are for life? If you can't name the ones that are for life, well, that's okay. God's going to bring you into that circle or that arena so that you can let your hair down, if you have some, so that you can feel a sense of real value and camaraderie and a joining in the DNA of real family members that you know love you and care for you, and then vice versa, you care for them. James Massow in the Whole Foods meat department said, we're making the world a better place, one day at a time. So being an ambassador in a store is more important than money. And then somebody asked him that question, is it really more important than money? This interviewer. And he said, I would definitely say it is. Well, how many people do you know what are honestly living like that in their work environment or in the church world, saying, look, whoa, this is way, way, way better than money. Money is just a perk, but what I get out of this is a sense of belonging and value, and I just feel like I'm so loved and cherished here. Why would I ever want to leave this place? And that's I really believe that the Lord is linking people up all over the world right now, wherever you're at in your city, your county, your region. He's bringing people of like mind together so that they can walk together and be agreed. And may not agree on everything, but at least there's these main line common denominators that keep you together like glue. And first and foremost is love. And I just see that happening in different arenas, in different ways. It's happening in my wife and I's life, and we're so grateful for that. Have we been through the stuff? Have we been through the junk? Well, yes, just like you have. But it's made us better people. And we're going to be discussing more of that too on Naked Leaders, about the process of becoming aware of who we really are, our own authenticity. And a lot of the process and the journey is meant to strip us back down and reduce us to nothing but love. But that takes some time for some of us. And some of us have lost a lot of hair because of it, if you know what I'm saying. According to a Gallup study, only 3 out of 10 workers are engaged in the workplace, meaning committed to or enthusiastic about their work. Only 3 out of 10. Now, if that's true in the world, in the workplace arena, then it's true in the church. It may even be higher numbers than that, where only 1 or 2 out of 10 are engaged. And the generation, the 20-somethings and the teens and the 30-somethings really are all about relationship and wanting to live the purpose and have significance in finding that in relationships and not so much in the dollar sign. Although, that's all a part of it. There's nothing wrong with that. If everything is in balance and in its rightful place, then, hey, that's what life is about. And really, we can be prosperous and blessed. But it all has to do, again, with relational activity and how we carry ourselves and present ourselves for the next generation. And so the younger ones, they really do want that. They really want a sense of belonging and to know that they're contributing in the world. But more than anything, they want to know that they're valued and cared for. Now, they know that they are in their identity with the Lord, the ones that know their identity. But with their fellow man, it's a little difficult because there's a whole lot of wounded people walking around. And because there is, everybody's hurting one another and biting and barking and chewing one another to pieces. And it's interesting to know that while that stuff's going on, we've all been a part of it, right? To some level. While that's going on, God somehow, in the midst of his sovereignty and his grace and his great love for us, is working things out for our good in the way of our character development and the way that we are reduced to kindness and the fruit of the Spirit. And when we come through these things, somehow we think we're a train wreck, and we may be for a time in our emotions. But the truth of the matter is, when we come out the other side, we really do become better people if we don't become bitter and resentful. Right? You know that's true. Look back over your life for the last 5-10 years. See what you've gone through and where you're at now. And how God has just done something deep within you, and you know it. And you look back and you say, wow, I did become better through it all, didn't I? Of course you did, because Christ is in you and he's not going to give up on you so easily. So, a lot of times we think he does, but he really doesn't. Romans 12:10. I'm going to wrap this up in just a minute. But Romans 12:10, love one another with brotherly affection, outdo one another in showing honor. Now, it's important to know, outdo one another in showing honor. What is honor? It means to value somebody really better or more than yourself. Love yourself, right? Have a healthy view. But honor and value others more than yourself, and that's without flattery or without agenda. So there's a big difference between flattering somebody for selfish gain and hidden agenda, and then valuing them because you genuinely love who they are. It just comes out of you. Philippians 2:3, do nothing from rivalry or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. There it is. Colossians 3:12-14, put on then as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience, bearing with one another. And if one has a complaint against another, forgive each other as the Lord has forgiven you. So you also must forgive. And above all these, I love that, above all these, those are important, but above all these, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. Why? Because God is love. What's our highest goal? Love. So when we love, and people, I'll just say this. Some people hear that word love and they think it's just, wimpy and tender and kind, and you can't stand strong or be a strong person. That couldn't be further from the truth. Love is going after others with an abandon and saying, I value and I love you, and because I love you, I'm going to speak truth into your life. It's standing your ground when you need to, and not moving, being unmoved by situations, circumstances, and sometimes being very stern. Sometimes calls for that, and also being very direct. Sometimes it can be that way as well. But always filtered in there and intertwined is kindness and compassion because of the fruit of the Spirit. It just emanates out of us as Christ-like beings. Okay, so legacy. How do we want to be remembered? How do we want to be remembered with our business or a ministry or just an individual? I think it's important to know that we can simplify this and dial it all the way down to kindness, compassion, value, honoring others. And when people look and they see a certain company and a name, are they known? Is that company or that name or that church ministry known for its abuse of people? Is it known for extracting money from people? Is it known for selfish gain or selfishness? Or is it known for, wow, whenever I think of that name, I think good feelings. I think happy thoughts. I like to say, wow, now that is a company that I would like to model or emulate with my own, or the church, or whatever it is. And so that's the difference. What kind of legacy do we want to leave as people of God? Do we want to be known for something that others kind of sneer at or are downright disgusted with? Or do we want them to look on and remember deeply and even get emotional over it because it was so profound or it made such a statement of good in their lives? Okay, so just another naked moment that went on a little longer than a moment, but that's all right. I will talk to you soon, and I'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks so much for tuning in on Facebook page and the website and emailing me. It means so much. Thank you for your encouragement. My main function or my main passion here is to encourage you in any way possible. So be loved, be cherished, know that you're loved and cherished, and remember, being naked and bare is being transparent and vulnerable in front of others so that they can see that you're actually real and that you care.